Chased by shadows, the alien girl and human must escape the Empire's wrath. Ethan walked down the docking hall with a small case in his hand. His brown jacket was worn at the edges, and his boots carried dust from a dozen worlds. He moved with calm steps, eyes alert but relaxed. Humans had a habit of noticing danger early, even when they pretended not to care. Ethan was no different. He reached the office of the station clerk and placed the case on the counter. The clerk scanned it, nodded, and slid a credit chip across. It was an easy job, and Ethan felt relieved. He was already thinking about leaving, maybe finding a quiet corner to eat something warm when the lights dimmed. At first, no one reacted. Power flickers were common here. Then the alarm sounded. A deep, sharp tone echoed through the halls. Metal doors slammed shut, sealing sections of the station. Voices rose in fear and confusion. Ethan frowned. This was not normal. A cold voice came over the station speakers. It spoke in clear trade language, slow and commanding. All civilians remain where you are. Imperial security is conducting an authorized search. Resistance will be punished. The word Imperial sent a ripple of fear through the crowd. People stepped back from the open areas. Shopkeepers closed shutters. Travelers looked for places to hide. The Empire was known for cruelty, and when its forces arrived without warning, it meant someone important was being hunted. Ethan moved toward the edge of the hall, keeping close to the walls. He did not want attention. Humans were still rare in this region, and Imperial soldiers often watched them closely. As he passed a narrow service corridor, he noticed someone standing very still in the shadows. It was a young alien girl. She was shorter than most of the station workers and wore a plain gray outfit meant to blend in. Her skin was a soft shade of silver blue, and faint lines glowed along her neck when she breathed. Her eyes were wide and focused, watching the soldiers march past. She looked afraid, but there was something else there too, determination. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Ethan almost kept walking. Getting involved was dangerous. This was not his fight. But then he saw Imperial troops stop nearby and begin scanning faces. The girl pressed herself deeper into the shadows, holding her breath. One of the soldiers turned toward her hiding place. Ethan acted without thinking. "Hey," he said, stepping forward, "you dropped this." He held up a small data pad from his pocket and walked toward the girl as if she were part of his crew. The soldier paused, confused. The scanner beeped again, catching another target farther down the hall. The soldier turned away. Ethan reached the girl and whispered quickly, "Follow me if you want to live." She did not hesitate. She stepped out of the shadows and followed him into the service corridor. The corridor was narrow and dim, filled with pipes and humming cables. Ethan walked fast but steady. He did not look back until they turned a corner and the sounds of boots faded. The girl finally spoke, her voice low and tight. "Why did you help me?" Ethan shrugged lightly. "Wrong place, wrong time. Besides, you looked like you needed it." That was not the whole truth. Humans had a long history of stepping in when others were hunted. It was part of who they were, even when it caused trouble. They stopped near a locked maintenance door. Ethan tapped his wrist unit, bypassing the old lock with ease. The door slid open, revealing a small storage room filled with crates. They slipped inside, and the door closed behind them. For a moment, neither spoke. The girl leaned against a crate, breathing hard. Ethan watched the door, listening. "My name is Lyra," she said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Ethan Brooks." Lyra looked up at him. "You should not stay with me. The Empire will punish you." Ethan smiled faintly. "They probably already will." I stepped in front of a scanner that never goes unnoticed. As if to confirm his words, the station speakers crackled again. "All human vessels are ordered to remain docked for inspection." Ethan cursed under his breath. Imperial troops moved through the station with purpose now. They searched ships, checked records, and dragged frightened civilians away for questioning. Lyra clenched her fists. "They are here for me," she said. "I tried to hide, but they always find me." Ethan studied her. "You are not just some worker, are you?" Lyra shook her head slowly. "No. I am not." Before she could say more, heavy footsteps approached the storage room. Shadows passed under the door. Imperial soldiers stopped outside. Ethan's heart beat faster, but his face stayed calm. He looked around the room and spotted a floor panel. With a quick motion, he pulled it open, revealing a narrow crawl space. "Down," he whispered. Lyra dropped inside without question. Ethan followed and pulled the panel closed just as the door was forced open. Light flooded the room above them. Voices spoke in harsh tones. "Nothing here. Search the next section." The door slammed shut again. They waited in silence until the sounds faded. The crawl space smelled of dust and oil. It was tight, but it led deeper into the station. Ethan crawled forward, guiding Lyra through twists and turns. They emerged near the outer docks close to his ship. The docking bay was tense. Imperial patrols stood near ships, scanning crews and cargo. Ethan's freighter sat at the far end, old and unremarkable. He had chosen it for that reason years ago. They hid behind cargo crates and watched. "I can get us on my ship," Ethan said softly, "but once we leave, there is no turning back." Lyra looked at him. "You do not know what you are risking." Ethan met her gaze. "I know enough." They waited for a moment when the patrols shifted. Ethan moved first, walking with confidence. Lyra stayed close, keeping her head down. An Imperial officer stepped into their path. "Identify yourselves." Ethan handed over his clearance, keeping his hands steady. "Freelance hauler, delivering machine parts." The officer scanned the chip, then looked at Lyra. "And her crew," Ethan said. "Quiet type." The scanner beeped again, sharper this time. The officer frowned. Lyra's lines glowed brighter. She tensed. Ethan reacted instantly. He shoved a crate forward, knocking it into the officer. Alarms rang out. Shouting filled the bay. "Run," Ethan yelled. They sprinted toward the ship as blaster fire struck the floor behind them. Ethan slammed his hand on the ramp control, and it closed just as shots hit the hull. Inside the cockpit, Ethan threw himself into the pilot's seat. Lyra strapped in beside him, hands shaking. The engines roared to life. Imperial ships moved to block the exit, but Ethan pushed the freighter hard, weaving through traffic with reckless skill. The station guns fired, but he stayed close to the structure, using it as cover. With a final burst of speed, the freighter shot free of the docking bay and into open space. Stars stretched into lines as the ship jumped away. Silence followed. Lyra let out a long breath. Her shoulders sagged. Ethan leaned back, heart-pounding, then laughed softly. "Well, that could have gone worse." Lyra looked at him with a mix of fear and wonder. "Why did you do this?" Ethan looked out at the stars. "Because someone had." Tothan Brooks sat in the cockpit of his freighter, hands gripping the controls, staring at the endless stars ahead. Lyra, the alien girl he had saved, sat beside him, her silver-blue skin faintly glowing in the dim light of the ship. She was quiet, watching the console, her eyes wide and thoughtful. The hum of the engines filled the small space. It was the first real moment of peace they had, but both knew it could not last. The Empire would not stop hunting them. After a few minutes of silence, Lyra finally spoke. "Why did they come for me?" Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Ethan glanced at her, carefully choosing his words. "I don't know all the details," he said, "but it is clear they fear you. Whatever you are, it is dangerous to them." Lyra looked down at her hands. "I am the last of my people," she admitted. "My family, my world, the Empire destroyed them all. They want to finish what they started." Ethan's eyes narrowed. Humans had a history of being hunted, enslaved, and nearly wiped out in the galaxy, but he had never faced an empire like this personally. He had smuggled cargo, evaded pirates, even escaped corrupt officials, but never hunted like prey by the most powerful force he had ever heard of. "You can't stay hidden forever," he said. "We need a plan." Lyra nodded. "I have a friend, someone who may help. If we can reach the frontier worlds, we might find safety." "Frontier worlds?" Ethan repeated. He was skeptical. He had flown cargo to the edge of charted space, but frontier worlds were lawless, dangerous, and full of people who would take your life for a few credits. "Those places are not safe." "Sometimes," Lyra said, "safety is relative, but humans are clever. You will help us." Ethan laughed softly, a short, dry sound. "Don't put that all on me, little one. I am just trying to survive." The freighter continued its course through space, weaving past asteroids and debris fields. The stars stretched into lines as the ship went faster than the eye could follow. Ethan checked the navigation systems repeatedly. Any mistake could lead Imperial ships straight to them. After several hours of travel, they reached the edge of a dense asteroid belt. Ethan slowed the freighter and guided it through the jagged rocks. Lyra watched him, fascinated. "You are very skilled," she said. "How did you learn this?" Ethan shrugged. "Experience. You learn fast when mistakes can cost your life." "Humans are strong," Lyra said quietly. "You do not give up even when the danger is great." Ethan smiled faintly. "That is one way to survive in this galaxy." He paused and then asked, "What makes the Empire so afraid of you?" Lyra hesitated. She had spent her life hiding, trusting few, but something about Ethan made her want to share. "My people had technology, knowledge of things they could never control. The Empire destroyed us because they feared what we could do. They fear that even one of us left alive could change everything. Ethan nodded slowly. He understood fear and power. He had seen it on worlds where local governments crushed any who resisted. But this was different. This was not a fight for territory or money. This was a fight for survival itself. As they spoke, the freighter's sensors detected movement. Small dots appeared on the display, moving fast. Ethan frowned. "Imperial scouts," he said. "They are close." Lyra's hands glowed faintly, lines on her neck brightening. "They have tracked us," she said. "We need to move faster." Ethan adjusted the controls. "Hold on," he said. The freighter shuddered as they passed through a dense asteroid field. Imperial scouts followed, firing warning shots, but Ethan used the rocks as cover, weaving in ways the pursuers could not. The tension in the cockpit was sharp, like a wire stretched tight. After hours of careful maneuvers, they finally found a hidden gap in the asteroid belt, a small tunnel where large ships could not easily follow. Ethan slowed the freighter and guided it inside. The dark rocks pressed close around them. Lyra leaned forward, awe and fear mixed in her expression. "This will slow them," Ethan said, "but it will not stop them for long. We need allies." Lyra nodded. "My friend, Claire Mason, she is a human engineer. She will help us." Ethan looked at her, skeptical. "Humans are not always trustworthy. Claire is different," Lyra said. "She will help because she believes in doing what is right." Ethan nodded, deciding to trust Lyra. They needed help, and trusting the right people could mean the difference between survival and death. The freighter emerged from the asteroid belt into open space. The stars seemed calm, but Ethan knew danger waited just beyond. He activated the long-range sensors, scanning for Imperial ships. A few scouts lingered at the edge of the asteroid field, but no large ships were following yet. "We have some time," Ethan said, "but we cannot stay still." Lyra looked at him, her glowing lines dimming slightly. "How do humans survive against such enemies?" she asked. "By thinking ahead," Ethan replied, "and by never giving up." They continued toward the frontier worlds, small dots of habitable planets at the edge of known space. Ethan calculated the safest route, avoiding Imperial patrol lanes and known war zones. Lyra helped where she could, her alien knowledge of navigation surprisingly precise. The two of them worked together in silence, each step taking them farther from danger, but closer to uncertainty. Hours later, they approached a small planet covered in rocky deserts and shallow seas. It was a frontier world, one where law and order were weak, and survival meant cunning and speed. Ethan set a course for a hidden landing zone known only to traders and smugglers. "This is it," Lyra said. "Claire lives nearby. She will help us." Ethan glanced at her. "I hope she does, otherwise we are just running in circles." As they descended into the atmosphere, the freighter shook from turbulence. The surface rushed closer, brown rocks and shallow waters stretching across the horizon. Ethan guided the ship to a narrow canyon hidden from orbital scans. The freighter landed softly among rocks, engines humming down. They stepped out onto the dusty surface. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the rocks. Lyra looked around, her eyes cautious. "Claire's workshop is near," she said. "We must be careful. Imperial spies may already be here." Ethan adjusted his jacket, hands near his blaster. "I have a feeling we are walking into more trouble." They moved quickly across the rocky terrain, using the shadows for cover. After several minutes, they reached a small building, hidden behind a rock outcrop. Smoke rose from a chimney and faint lights flickered from the windows. Lyra knocked quietly, a soft pattern that only Claire would recognize. After a moment, the door opened, and a young human woman appeared. Her hair was tied back and her face was alert. She quickly assessed the strangers. "Lyra," she asked. "Claire, we need your help," Lyra said urgently. Claire stepped aside, motioning them in. "Inside, quick!" The room was filled with tools, spare engines, and partially built devices. It smelled of oil and metal. Ethan relaxed slightly. Here was a human who could help, someone who might give them a fighting chance. As they caught their breath, Lyra explained everything. Claire listened carefully, her eyes narrowing. When Lyra finished, she looked at Ethan. "So this empire is really after her?" Ethan nodded. "And they will not stop." Claire's expression hardened. "Then we have work to do. I will help you, but you must trust me, and you must be ready to move fast. If the Empire finds you here, there will be no second chance." Lyra nodded. "I trust you." She looked at Ethan. "And I trust him." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then let's see what humans and aliens can do together." The three of them began planning. Claire pulled out maps and schematics pointing to hidden routes through the frontier world. Ethan checked the freighter, making sure it was ready for sudden departure. Lyra shared what she knew about Imperial scanning and tracking. Hours passed as they worked. Outside, the frontier world was calm, but the shadows were deep. They all knew the Empire would not rest. The smallest mistake could end their journey before it began. Finally, Ethan leaned back, exhausted but determined. "We have a plan," he said. "It is risky, but it is our best chance. Tomorrow, we leave this planet and we start running for real." Lyra looked at him, hope and fear mixed in her eyes. "Do you really think humans can survive against the Empire?" Ethan smiled, faint and tired. "We always do," he said, "even when it seems impossible." They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the hum of the frontier world outside, knowing that tomorrow would bring danger, but also the first real chance to escape. As the night grew darker, Lyra's lines glowed softly in the dim light. She leaned against Ethan. "Thank you," she whispered. "We survived together," Ethan said. "That is how it works." Outside, the Empire's shadow moved across the stars. Inside, three beings from different worlds prepared to face it together. And for the first time since the chase began, they allowed themselves a moment of hope. The journey was far from over, but for now they had a plan, allies, and each other. And in a galaxy ruled by fear and power, that was the first step toward survival. The frontier world was quiet as Ethan, Lyra, and Claire moved through the rocky streets. Small buildings of metal and stone clustered around dusty squares. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows. Traders, smugglers, and travelers moved about, cautious and watchful. The Empire's presence was felt even here, far from the central systems. Word traveled fast, and strangers were eyed with suspicion. Ethan kept a hand near his blaster, moving carefully. Lyra stayed close, her glowing lines faint in the dim light. Claire led them, familiar with the narrow alleys and hidden paths. "This way," she whispered, pointing toward a hidden workshop behind stacked crates. "It is safe for now, but we cannot linger. Scouts are everywhere." Ethan nodded, scanning the streets. "We are not invisible," he said. "We need to keep moving and be ready for trouble." Lyra shivered slightly. "They are hunting us," she said, "and they will not stop." "Then we make them stop chasing us," Ethan said. His words were calm, but his eyes were sharp. Humans were clever that way, planning and reacting fast. Even in danger, they thought ahead. Inside Claire's workshop, the three of them caught their breath. The room smelled of oil, metal, and burned circuits. Tools hung from walls, and partially built machines littered the tables. Claire moved quickly, checking supplies and weapons she had hidden for emergencies. "We are low on energy cells and ammunition," she said. "We need to get more if we want to survive," Ethan frowned. "Frontier worlds are not safe places to shop for supplies. Imperial scouts are everywhere." "We do it quietly," Claire said. "There is a market near the canyon edge. Most traders there deal in off-the-books goods. We can find what we need without drawing attention." Lyra looked at Ethan. "You think humans can fight if we are discovered?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Humans fight to survive, sometimes more than others, you will see." After a brief discussion, they prepared to leave. Ethan checked his blaster while Lyra adjusted her small pack. Claire carried tools and a small energy rifle. They moved through the back exits of the workshop, keeping to shadows and narrow alleys. The streets were busy but tense. Travelers watched them, some curious, others wary. Imperial patrols were reported in nearby districts. Ethan guided the group carefully, using his knowledge of human observation and intuition. Humans had a skill for noticing patterns and avoiding danger, and Ethan used it now to navigate the city. They reached the market without incident. Crates of goods lined the narrow paths: spices, metal parts, small engines, and weapons. Traders shouted, selling items in quick exchanges. Ethan kept a low profile, pretending to inspect goods, while Lyra and Claire moved to gather what they needed. A trader watched them closely. "You three are new," he said. His tone was neutral, but there was curiosity in his eyes. "What do you need?" "Energy cells and a few rifles," Claire said calmly. "Nothing fancy." The trader nodded and led them to a hidden storage area. Ethan noticed movement in the crowd, a group of figures in dark uniforms scanning the market. Imperial scouts, they were close. "We need to hurry," Ethan whispered. Claire handed Lyra the supplies. Ethan kept an eye on the approaching scouts. The group moved toward the back exit when one scout stepped too close. Ethan acted quickly, blocking the path and pretending to argue with another traitor. The scout hesitated, then moved on. They slipped into the alley and moved fast. The market's noise covered their footsteps, and soon they were back in the rocky streets. Ethan's mind raced. The Empire would not wait long. Sooner or later, someone would report unusual movement and their hiding place would be discovered. "We cannot stay here," Ethan said. "We need a safer place for now." Claire led them to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. It was large and empty, with broken windows and scattered debris. Inside, they could rest and plan. Ethan checked the perimeter, making sure there were no hidden scouts. Lyra sank to the floor, exhausted. "How do humans survive against such enemies?" she asked again, her voice quiet. "By using their brains," Ethan replied. "And by sticking together. Even small numbers can make a difference if they work smart." Claire nodded. "Humans know how to improvise. We survive because we adapt. We can use anything at hand to turn the tables." They spent the next few hours planning. Ethan marked patrol routes and possible escape routes on a crude map. Claire checked the weapons and energy cells. Lyra practiced moving quietly, learning to hide and use her small alien skills. As night fell, the warehouse was quiet. Outside, the city streets were emptying. Imperial patrols continued to scan neighborhoods, their presence a constant reminder of danger. Ethan sat near a broken window, looking out at the stars above the frontier world. "They will come for us," Lyra said softly. "They may," Ethan replied. "But we will not give up. Humans have survived worse. We fight when we have to, and we run when we must. It is all part of staying alive." Suddenly, a loud noise echoed outside the warehouse. Ethan tensed, footsteps, multiple sets, scouts. They had found them sooner than expected. "Get ready," Ethan whispered. He handed Lyra a small blaster, and Claire readied her energy rifle. The three moved to positions near the entrances. Ethan peeked through the broken door. Two scouts approached, moving cautiously. He held his fire, waiting for the right moment. The scouts passed the entrance without noticing them. Ethan breathed quietly. The Empire's soldiers were disciplined but not perfect. Humans used this to their advantage. He knew every second counted, and even a small mistake could mean capture. "We have to leave," Ethan said. "Now, follow me." They moved quickly through the warehouse, exiting through a hidden tunnel that led to the rocky outskirts of the city. The patrols were spread too thin to notice them immediately. Ethan guided the group toward a narrow canyon, a path he knew from previous travels. The canyon was dark, but it offered cover. Lyra moved close to Ethan, her glowing lines dimmed in the shadow. Claire followed, scanning the terrain. The group moved carefully, using rocks for cover, avoiding open spaces. Suddenly, a scout appeared at the canyon entrance. Ethan froze. The scout's blaster was raised. Without hesitation, Ethan fired a quick shot, hitting the ground near the scout. The noise distracted him, and the group moved past while the scout regained balance. "Keep moving," Ethan said. The canyon narrowed, forcing them into a single line. Shadows stretched long, but they pressed on. The Empire would not give up. Ethan knew they would pursue relentlessly. After what felt like hours, they reached a small plateau overlooking the desert. The city lights were faint below. Ethan set the freighter to receive their location, but they would have to move carefully to reach it. The Empire could scan the airspace at any moment. Lyra sat down, exhausted. "Why are humans so brave?" she asked. Ethan looked at her, serious. "We are not always brave. We are stubborn. We survive because we refuse to give up. We fight when we must, and we run when we must. It is all part of staying alive." Claire smiled faintly. "And we are stronger together. Humans, aliens, we make a team." The Empire will not expect that. They spent the night in the canyon, hidden from patrols, planning their next move. Ethan checked the horizon repeatedly, scanning for any sign of Imperial ships or scouts. Lyra rested while remaining alert, and Claire prepared tools to repair and reinforce the freighter for a fast escape. Dawn arrived slowly. The desert sun cast long shadows and revealed the rocky terrain around them. Ethan studied the landscape. They had survived the city, the patrols, and the scouts. Now they needed a plan to leave the planet safely and continue their journey. "We need to move fast," Ethan said. "The Empire will not stop. We must be ready for anything." Lyra nodded, her hands glowing faintly as she focused. "I am ready," she said. "We survive together." Claire checked the weapons one last time. "Then let's go. We leave before they know we are here." The three moved carefully across the rocky terrain toward the freighter, each step a test of speed, skill, and timing. Ethan led the way, calculating every move. Lyra stayed close, using her alien instincts to sense danger. Claire carried supplies and watched the surroundings, ready to react at a moment's notice. As they approached the hidden freighter, the sun climbed higher, revealing more of the landscape. Ethan slowed and scanned the area. No patrols were in sight, but he knew they could appear at any moment. "Almost there," he whispered. "Stay low and move fast." They reached the freighter without incident. Ethan opened the hatch and they slipped inside. The engines roared to life. Ethan guided the ship up through the canyon, careful to avoid rocks and detection. The freighter cleared the canyon, entering open desert space. Ethan looked at Lyra and Claire. "We did it," he said quietly. "But this is only the beginning. The Empire will keep coming. And we must be faster, smarter, and ready for anything." Lyra looked out at the stars, her glowing lines pulsing faintly. "Then we keep moving," she said. "We cannot stop, not now, not ever." Claire nodded, adjusting the controls for a long-range jump. "We move together. Humans and aliens, that is how we survive." The freighter shot toward the horizon, leaving the desert world behind. The Empire's shadow was still out there, somewhere among the stars. Ethan, Lyra, and Claire were fugitives, hunted and chased. But they were alive, and together they had a chance. And in a galaxy ruled by fear, determination, and cleverness were powerful weapons. The chase would continue, but for now, they survived another day. The freighter moved silently through empty space. Ethan Brooks sat at the controls, hands steady but eyes alert. Lyra, the alien girl, watched the stars outside the cockpit window. Claire Mason checked the ship's systems, making sure the engines and weapons were ready. The Empire was close, but so far they had escaped. "We cannot keep running forever," Lyra said softly, breaking the quiet. "They will catch us if we make a mistake." Ethan nodded. "I know, but running is better than waiting to be caught. The Empire does not forgive, and they never forget." Claire looked up from the controls. "We need allies. There are humans and others in the frontier systems who do not trust the Empire. If we can find them, we can have a chance to fight back." "Allies are good," Ethan said. "But first, we need to survive the next few hours. Imperial ships could be scanning for us any second." The freighter's sensors beeped softly. Ethan leaned forward, reading the display. Small Imperial scouts were moving toward them. He frowned. The Empire was relentless. They had predicted his moves. "We need a diversion," Ethan said. "Something to slow them down while we escape." Claire quickly scanned the storage. "I can make a small device, a flare to attract their sensors in a different direction. It will buy us some time, but not long." Ethan nodded. "Do it." "I'll prepare the ship for a quick jump." Lyra watched them, fascinated. Humans were clever. Even under pressure, they could create solutions quickly. She admired that. "Humans are amazing," she whispered. Ethan glanced at her. "We just survive, that's all. You will see. Survival makes you clever, fast, and stubborn." Claire worked quickly, assembling the device from parts she had hidden in the freighter. Ethan guided the ship toward a dense asteroid field, a natural place for cover. Lyra helped, using her alien senses to detect gaps in the asteroid paths. Together, they prepared for the coming escape. Once the device was ready, Ethan released it toward the scouts. A bright flare exploded, sending false signals through the sensors. The Imperial scouts changed course, following the decoy. Ethan pushed the freighter hard, weaving through asteroids. "Move fast," Ethan shouted. "Don't let them catch up." Lyra held on tightly, her glowing lines brightening. The freighter shuddered as it dodged rocks and debris. Claire fired a few defensive shots to keep the scouts at a distance. Human skills and alien senses worked together perfectly. They moved like a single unit, coordinated, fast, and precise. After several tense minutes, the scouts were left behind, confused by the flare. Ethan smiled faintly. "That worked, for now." Lyra let out a long breath. "You humans are clever and brave," Ethan shrugged. "We survive. Cleverness and bravery are just tools." Claire checked the ship again. "We cannot stay in the asteroid field long. Sensors will pick us up eventually. We need a destination." Lyra thought for a moment. "There is a safe planet in the next system. My friend there helped my family once. They may provide shelter and information." "Then we go there," Ethan said, "but carefully. The Empire may already be tracking us." The freighter moved toward the planet. Ethan plotted a course, avoiding known patrol lanes. Lyra helped, suggesting hidden jumps that only someone with her knowledge could know. Claire watched the systems, ready to repair or defend at a moment's notice. As they approached the planet, sensors detected a larger Imperial ship waiting in orbit. Ethan cursed under his breath. "They are expecting us," he said. Lyra's eyes widened. "It is a trap." "We cannot land normally," Ethan thought quickly. "We will have to go low under their scanners. If we stay in atmosphere, they cannot detect us easily. It is risky, but it is our only chance." Claire nodded. "I can calculate the safest path. We need to move fast and stay low." The freighter dove into the planet's atmosphere. Clouds rushed past the cockpit windows. The freighter's engines roared as Ethan navigated through mountains and valleys, avoiding radar. Imperial guns fired, but most shots missed. Lyra used her alien senses to warn of incoming fire. Claire guided the engines to handle sudden maneuvers. Together, they moved like a single team, using brains and instinct instead of brute force. Finally, they reached a hidden valley where Lyra's contact lived. Small structures made of stone and metal were scattered among trees and rocks. Ethan landed the freighter carefully, making it almost invisible from above. They exited the ship cautiously. A human woman appeared, older than Claire but sharp and alert. Her eyes immediately studied them. "Lyra," she said. "Yes, Aunt Jessica," Lyra said softly. The woman nodded. "I thought the Empire would find you eventually. Come inside quickly." They entered a small building filled with tools, supplies, and maps. Ethan and Claire checked the surroundings. The Empire had not followed closely, but they knew it was only a matter of time before more ships came. "We need to plan," Ethan said. "The Empire will not give up. We need a strategy to survive and fight back if necessary." Aunt Jessica nodded. "I can provide information, safe routes, and support, but we cannot fight directly. The Empire is too strong. We must use intelligence, speed, and cunning." Lyra explained everything about her people, their technology, and why the Empire feared her. Ethan and Claire listened carefully. Humans were learning quickly, and Ethan realized that together they could become more than just fugitives. They could strike back in small, smart ways that the Empire would not expect. Hours passed as they planned. Maps were marked, supplies distributed, and escape routes prepared. Ethan taught Lyra simple human tricks for stealth and movement. Claire prepared the freighter for rapid departure. Lyra shared her knowledge of alien detection systems and sensors. Together, they formed a small but strong team. Suddenly, sensors picked up movement. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Imperial scouts," he said. "They found the valley. We have minutes to move." "We cannot fight them all," Lyra said. "There are too many." "Then we use what we learned," Ethan said. "Brains over brawn. Humans survive by thinking, not by strength." They moved quickly. Ethan guided them to a hidden passage through the valley, one that led to an underground cavern. Claire set small traps and alarms to slow any pursuers. Lyra used her alien senses to detect movements in the dark. Together, they moved silently, avoiding detection. Imperial scouts arrived minutes later, searching the valley. They fired blindly into rocks and trees, but Ethan and the group were already gone. The Empire underestimated human cleverness and alien intuition. Small traps and diversions bought enough time for them to escape undetected. Hours later, they reached a hidden dock near a river. A small shuttle was hidden there. Ethan piloted it carefully. "This will take us closer to the next safe system," he said. Lyra looked out at the stars. "We survived again. Humans are truly clever." Ethan smiled faintly. "We survive, yes, but we cannot let the Empire corner us." "We must keep moving, thinking, planning." Claire adjusted the shuttle's engines. "And we will. Humans, aliens, together we can stay ahead, but we cannot stop, not for a moment." The shuttle lifted off and moved into the sky. The Empire's shadow was still in orbit, guns trained on the valley. Ethan, Lyra, and Claire looked at each other. They were fugitives, hunted and chased, but alive. More than that, they had learned to fight smart, to survive together. "We are stronger than they think," Ethan said. Lyra nodded. "And we will keep moving. We will survive." Claire smiled. "We are ready. Now we fly and we plan the next step. The Empire will not stop, but neither will we." The shuttle disappeared into the clouds, leaving the valley behind. The Empire was still hunting, but Ethan, Lyra, and Claire had escaped again. They were growing smarter, faster, and stronger. The chase would continue, but so would their courage and determination. And in a galaxy where power ruled with fear, survival, intelligence, and teamwork were weapons humans and aliens could wield together. They were fugitives, yes, but also the beginning of something new. A force the Empire had not expected. The shuttle glided through the dark void of space. Ethan Brooks sat at the controls. his eyes scanning the stars for threats. Lyra sat beside him, her glowing lines faint but steady. Claire checked the navigation and engines repeatedly, making sure the shuttle was in top condition. The Empire was still hunting them, but so far they had survived. "How much further?" Lyra asked, her voice soft. She was tired, but determination showed in her eyes. "We are close to the neutral systems," Ethan said. "Places where the Empire has less power. If we can reach them, we may find allies and more safety." Claire nodded. "But it will not be easy. The Empire will try to predict our moves, and they may send stronger ships after us." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Then we need to be smarter than they expect. We cannot fight them head-on. We use stealth, traps, and speed." Lyra looked at him. "Humans always find a way." "You never give up." Ethan smiled faintly. "We survive. That is what humans do." The shuttle approached the outer edge of a neutral system, a cluster of small planets and moons largely ignored by the Empire. Ethan carefully navigated past patrol routes, using hidden jump points and asteroid cover. Lyra helped by sensing the movement of ships through space, while Claire calculated the best paths to avoid detection. Suddenly, the sensors beeped. A large Imperial frigate was moving toward them. Ethan cursed under his breath. "They followed us. We have no choice. We must use the canyon jump." "Canyon jump?" Lyra asked. "A risky move," Ethan explained. "It is a short cut through a narrow asteroid canyon. If we navigate perfectly, we can avoid the frigate. If we fail, we crash." Lyra's eyes widened. "Then we must succeed." Claire checked the shuttle's systems. "I can boost the engines for a quick burst. It will give us extra speed through the canyon." Ethan nodded. "Ready." "Ready," Lyra and Claire said together. The shuttle dove toward the canyon. Rocks loomed close on all sides. Ethan's hands moved quickly over the controls, guiding the ship through twisting turns. Lyra warned him of sudden obstacles, and Claire boosted the engines at precise moments. The shuttle shook as it narrowly avoided collisions. Sparks flew from the hull when small rocks scraped the sides. Behind them, the Imperial frigate fired. Energy beams hit asteroids, sending debris toward the shuttle. Ethan twisted and dodged, keeping speed high. Lyra's alien senses guided them through the safest path, while Claire monitored systems for damage. Finally, after tense minutes, the shuttle shot out of the canyon and into open space. The frigate slowed, unable to follow through the narrow passage. Ethan breathed heavily. They had survived again. "That was too close," Lyra whispered, her glowing lines bright with relief. "We made it," Ethan said, "but the Empire will keep chasing. We must move faster and smarter." They entered the neutral system, a series of small planets and moons with hidden bases and safe zones. Ethan guided the shuttle to one of these hidden stations, a place known only to traders and exiles. The station was old but well hidden, and security was tight but fair. Inside, they met other humans and aliens who had fled the Empire. Ethan and Claire exchanged information, while Lyra explained the Empire's fear of her people. The station's leader, a tall human named Grant, nodded with interest. "We have heard of such survivors," Grant said. "If you bring proof of the Empire's actions, we can help spread the truth. Others will join, and the Empire will face resistance they did not expect." Ethan looked at Lyra. "This is your chance. Your people's story can inspire others." "We can survive, yes, but we can also make the Empire pay attention in ways they cannot control." Lyra nodded. "Then we do it. We must show the galaxy what they have done." Claire helped gather records, data, and evidence. Ethan coordinated their escape routes and signals. Lyra shared information about the Empire's tracking systems. Together, they built a plan not just to survive, but to strike at the Empire in small, clever ways. Days passed as they prepared. Scouts reported Imperial movements nearby, but the station remained hidden. Ethan trained the group for evasive maneuvers. Claire repaired and upgraded the freighter. Lyra learned quickly, using her alien knowledge to improve their defenses and navigation. Finally, the time came to leave. Ethan piloted the freighter carefully out of the hidden station. The stars stretched around them. Behind, Imperial scouts moved in patterns, searching for them. Ethan smiled faintly. "Time to test our plan." They sent out false signals, leading scouts away from their actual route. Lyra used her alien senses to detect incoming ships. Claire fired defensive drones to distract the Empire's sensors. Together, they moved faster than expected, using brains, skill, and teamwork to outwit the Empire once more. Hours later, they reached a neutral world known for resistance and hidden bases. Here they could regroup and plan further. Grant met them again, nodding with approval. "You have done well," he said. "Your actions will inspire others. Humans and aliens together can make a difference." Lyra looked at Ethan. "We survived, and now we can fight back." Ethan nodded. "Yes, survival is only the first step. The Empire underestimated humans and they underestimated you. Together we are stronger than they think." Claire smiled. "We plan, we act, and we survive, and one day the Empire will see that fear cannot control everyone." They spent the next days preparing messages, sending warnings, and helping others escape. Small groups of humans and aliens began to join them. The Empire's shadow was still there, but it could not reach everyone. Ethan realized that humanity's cleverness and resilience, combined with alien knowledge, could change the balance of power. Lyra grew stronger and more confident. She no longer hid in fear but acted with purpose. Ethan taught her the value of planning, patience, and human ingenuity. Claire shared technical skills and the art of quick thinking in danger. Together, they formed a team that could survive anything. One night, as the freighter floated quietly above the planet, Lyra asked, "Do you think we can really stop them?" Ethan looked at the stars. "We cannot stop the Empire alone, but we can survive and we can inspire others. Humans do not give up easily, and now you know that." "That is enough to make them afraid of what we might do next," Claire added. "And the more people we help, the stronger the resistance grows. One ship, one plan, one escape at a time. We survive and we fight in ways they cannot predict." Lyra smiled, glowing lines pulsing softly. "Then we survive and we fight together." Ethan nodded. "Yes, together." The freighter lifted off, heading toward the stars. The Empire was still out there, but they were no longer just hunted. They had allies, plans, and the knowledge that humans and aliens working together could survive anything. As they traveled, they shared their story. Other worlds listened. Whispers of the Empire's cruelty spread. Humans and aliens joined in small ways, helping fugitives, sharing intelligence, and resisting in clever ways. The Empire realized that fear and power alone could not control everyone. Humans and their allies were proving that cunning, courage, and cooperation could change the galaxy. Ethan, Lyra, and Claire became symbols, not just fugitives, but proof that even against the mightiest empire, survival and hope were possible. They had escaped the shadows, faced danger, and survived against impossible odds. And as they moved into unknown space, heading toward new allies and new challenges, they knew the Empire would continue to chase them. But they also knew they had already won in the most important way, by refusing to give up, by surviving, and by inspiring others to do the same. In a galaxy ruled by fear, humans and aliens together had shown that courage, cleverness, and teamwork were stronger than power alone. The chase would continue, but they had found freedom, friendship, and hope among the stars. And so Ethan, Lyra, and Claire flew into the unknown, not as hunted fugitives, but as a force the Empire could not ignore, a living proof that survival, determination, and unity could defy even the most powerful foes. The Empire's wrath would continue, but so would they. The stars stretched ahead, full of possibilities, and for the first time in a long time they could breathe, plan, and survive together. The chase had not ended. They had merely become stronger, smarter, and ready for whatever came next.